I can't say you are coming tomorrow to ask a question. I have to say, are you coming tomorrow,
Are you
right?
coming to?
What people do is they say, you are coming tomorrow now, right? So that type of translation is one of the most common mistakes that people who think in Hindi and speak in English, they make.
Honestly telling you, I used to make this mistake when I was learning English, and I also used to put this na everywhere just to confirmation, like whether I have asked you correctly or not.
And then you can try and download the app. The usage for the first 30-40 minutes is free, so you can try it out for yourself and see if you like it.
Okay, that's very good afternoon, ma'am. How are you?
Hi Karishma, I'm very well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Actually, I already know everything about you, but just for our new viewers, I would like you to give me a short introduction along with telling about the application Sparky, which is quite popular nowadays, and every learner is actually using it to make themselves fluent in English. So yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Okay, so I'm Anushri. I'm one of the co-founders of Sparky. Briefly about my background is that I'm an MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. I'm an engineer. I have worked for 15 years. I have worked in consulting and I have worked in your consumer internet companies that you've heard of, like Swiggy. And now I run Sparky. Sparky is a conversational voice first, generative AI powered English learning buddy for people who are looking to get fluent in English. So, what it does is many people would have heard of ChatGPT, etc., right? So it is built on top of that type of technology, and it is built to have conversations with you. One of the most important things, people who are trying to get better at English, the problem they face is that they don't have anyone to speak with. So how will they get practice? How will they get feedback? How will they get better? And Sparky becomes that buddy that you can speak to, and you can speak about lots of things with Sparky. So you can talk about your everyday life, you can talk about some specific topics, preparing for an interview, all of those kind of conversation. And Sparky gives you feedback and makes you better at spoken English fluency. So that's a brief snippet of what Sparky is, but I'm excited that people across India, across from I think like 80-85 cities are using Sparky. We are also used in about 10 different countries outside India, and people are sort of really enjoying the conversation and they're feeling like it is adding value to how they get better at English. So very happy for that.
Yeah, Sparky becomes a very popular, I think, because many people are using this application. And personally, if you talk about me, I am also using it and day-to-day conversation helping me to improve my spoken English as well. So before we see the demo, I would like to tell you the topic of today. So today we are going to discuss 7 most common grammatical mistakes, which most of the learners do. Even sometimes expert people also make these kinds of mistakes. Tell me at least one main mistake which most of the learners are doing even now.
Yeah, so I think one of the main mistakes and that it comes from how we think in Hindi, and in Hindi there are certain types of structures, right? And when you speak in English, you try to take the same structure to English. So in Hindi, the way you say is कि suppose I have to say कल आप आओगे, right? Now कल आप आओगे is I'm telling you. अगर मुझे पूछना है कि कल आप आओगे, so that's a question
Mhm.
mark, right? So
Yes.
we just change our tone, but we don't change the words. In Hindi that works. But in English, like if you say you are coming tomorrow, then I can't say you are coming tomorrow to ask a question. I have to say, are you coming tomorrow,
Are you
right?
coming to?
What people do is they say, you are coming tomorrow now, right? So that type of translation is one of the most common mistakes that people who think in Hindi and speak in English, they make.
Honestly telling you, I used to make this mistake when I was learning English, and I also used to put this na everywhere just to confirmation, like whether I have asked you correctly or not. So that na is always there, but yes, it's the absolutely like grammatically it's incorrect. We should
Yeah,
always put like, "Are you coming tomorrow?" Something like that.
yeah.
That's absolutely true. So yes, ma'am. Before moving ahead, I would like to like see the demo of Sparky so that people can know better about that application.
Yeah, yeah. We'll show you a video of a real user interacting and it'll give you a good sense of what it is like, how it gives you feedback. And then you can try and download the app. The usage for the first 30-40 minutes is free, so you can try it out for yourself and see if you like it.
Okay, that's amazing. So if you want to get this free download, just watch this demo and download this application from the link given in the description box.
Hey, Rima. You can talk to me or ask me questions about any topic. What would you like to talk about today?
Hi Sparky, I need help with my English. So I will say some sentences. If you could tell me whether they are correct or if they are incorrect, can you tell me the correct answer?
Sure, Rima. I'd be happy to help you with your English sentences. Let's start.
I didn't knew that my exam was today.
Did you mean to say I didn't know that my exam was today? In this sentence, knew should be replaced with know.
So we have seen the demo and it's really amazing. And yes, ma'am, now moving forward to the conversation. What is the second most common mistake?
Yeah, just give me a second. I also got slides for people so that I can show them and they're able to read for themselves and see what this is like, right? So and what is the correct way and what is the incorrect way of doing this. So if you look at this, mistake, this is basically using the incorrect verb form. So verb is which shows action, right? So if you say with singular thing like she, then you say she goes to work every day. You can't say she go to work. But if you say they go to work, which is a plural, your subject is plural, many people, then you say they go to work every day, right? So this is something that a lot of people, go wrong. And like the other example here is the dog runs fast in the park, not they run fast. Like if it's plural, then you say run, they run. If it's a dog, then you say dog runs, right? I think this is one common mistake.
And one more thing, ma'am, I have seen a lot of people whenever they say like he, they always say he don't do this, he don't like it.
Yeah.
It's the most common one. Even sometimes the people who know English really well, their grammar is also good, but still they make this kind of mistake very often.
Yeah,
We
so
don't know.
it's the same root, right? So when it is a single he or she, then you have to add
Yes.
s or es. So when you say don't is a short form of do not, do not. And if it is
Yes.
does not, then does not the short form is doesn't. She
Doesn't.
doesn't like this, right? So if you like she goes may it has es, he doesn't may does has es. So single subject, then your verb has to have s or es.
But ma'am, if I practically tell you that, like, just to improve this particular one ES or S thing, it took lot of time, lot of practice sessions, and you won't be able to remember it in just one go. If somebody
Yeah,
is telling you, okay, you have to do this, you won't be able to remember it. Even you know that, but when you
yeah,
speak, you make this mistake again. So the best practice is keep repeating it. Try to use it in your conversation knowingly or consciously so that it can be habitual. You can start speaking like that. So
right,
now
right.
it comes in my
Naturally
habit.
come.
Now I start using it correctly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cool. We'll go to the next one, right? It is
Yes.
putting the sentence in a wrong order, right? Your words are not in the right order. This also comes from how you think in Hindi, right? Like you say, I have to today finish this assignment, which comes from the Hindi version of saying, ये मुझे आज करना है, right? तो उसमें
Mhm.
आज पहले आता है. But in the structure of how you say it in English, you have to say, I have to finish this assignment today, right? I
Today,
don't
oh,
have, I have to today finish, nahi, I have to finish it today. Right? So
yes,
that
yes.
structure of the sentence and how you order words is something people go wrong with.
That's important.
Yeah. Okay, I'll show you one more. Right? This is what we were discussing, right? Ki you are coming to the party question mark. That is not a question, right? You can't just put a question mark there. You have to say, are you coming?
I do
Is it there? Or it has to start with the question element. So you say, where is it? Or it has to start with the things that show that it's a question.
Yes.
Then I think this is another very common word, a common mistake that people who are very good at English also make this mistake, right? It's like I didn't knew or I didn't went, right?
I
So when
didn't
you're
went.
talking about the past tense, your verb is the base verb, right? So know is basically the base version of knew is past tense, right? So if you say I knew about this exam, right? But if you say I didn't knew, then you can't say knew. I have to say I didn't know.
No. First
Yeah.
form of the verb.
Yes. So if you say I knew, but if it's negative, then you say I didn't know.
I think so. Yeah.
I went, I didn't go.
Yes. That's the common one. Yes.
Yes. And then there is the, sort of mixing up tenses. And this is something that there are many versions of mixing up tenses, right? People find it a little challenging sometimes to think of all these forms of verbs, right? So if they say yesterday is past. So you can't say I go. You say I went.
I
That's
went.
the past tense form of go. Right? So same thing, like yesterday I ate pani puri. I will say I eat pani puri yesterday is wrong.
Somebody said yesterday night. Was it correct?
It is ideally said last night because yesterday the word itself has day in it. So yesterday is used when you're talking about the whole day, but if you're specifically talking about night, then you will say last night.
Last night, okay. Or this morning, okay.
This morning, last night. Right? So. Then there's this double negative, right? So like if you say I need help, I don't need any help. It's not I don't need no help, right? So this is something people do as in maths they say -1 into -1 is plus. So in English also you can't use negative with negative. So if
Okay,
you
I don't need nothing. I don't need nothing.
is
I
wrong.
heard this also. I
But
don't need anything.
I don't need anything is the right way. So the negative you already did in no, don't. So you don't use it in that. So you say I don't need anything. But there are also rap songs and all. They use this. I don't need no help is something that some rap music will actually say it like that, but it's grammatically it's not correct. So
Sometimes
people
my
things.
son told me actually. Sometimes he told me, Mama, I don't need nothing. So I corrected, like, no, you should not say like this.
Yeah. So I will just point out one more mistake you just made, right? So you said sometimes my son told me, right? Now sometimes is not one, it's not one point in time. You will say sometimes my son tells me.
Yes,
Right? If it's like last month my son told me, because it is one particular point in the past and you're saying that time he told you. But if it is something regular, like sometimes I go to the gym, right? So that word has to be, or like sometimes she goes to office.
So it
Not
should be in
sometimes
present
she
indefinite.
Yes. So basically tenses is something that the mistakes come in many different forms. And it is something that people, get a little stuck in and get confused. Right. This is another one where people get confused in different types of comparative and superlative forms, right? So it's basically like pretty, prettier, prettiest, right? So when you say more, then you can't say prettier because prettier is already making that comparison of more, right? You say this is bigger than that. So you don't say this is more bigger than that.
Already bigger is that word. Yeah.
Yes, right. So, or you said this is the biggest. This is not more biggest or whatever. Right? Biggest is basically it's clear it is out of everything. It is the biggest. So this is another one that we see very often. Yeah, I think those were the top 7 mistakes that we see people make repeatedly, and the way to sort of get used to the right structure or the right tense form is mostly practice, right? Like you know these mistakes and it doesn't still, come into your mind automatically, but you practice, you get feedback, and then it slowly becomes you're habituated to talk in that way.
So, ma'am, how Sparky can help into that?
Yeah, so I think one most important thing is practice, right? Like people find it difficult to find someone to practice with. So you're learning all of these things. How will you practice? So Sparky becomes your practice buddy. Have all types of conversations. So all types of different mistakes will come up. And then Sparky gives feedback, right? So Sparky will give you the correct version of it. That did you mean to say this, right? So pay attention when Sparky is correcting something or saying that the right way to say it is like this. Pay attention, and it's okay. In one time you may not fully get it, but if you keep talking and Sparky keeps giving you feedback, slowly you'll just correct yourself. And the other thing is that you see Sparky saying the right version. So language, you pick up what you hear. So you pick up things from your environment, you pick up new words, you pick up slang words, all of that, right? So if you keep hearing Sparky saying the right things, your brain automatically adjusts and starts to understand that this is the way structure of a sentence is, this is the right way to say it. It comes automatically without learning rules, right? The other thing that Sparky does is it gives you, suppose if you don't know how to frame a sentence, it gives you recommendations. It gives you, like, for help, it gives you sample sentences you can say. Now that sample sentence, you can use it as it is, but you can also take the hint of this sentence structure and say something else, right? Like suppose Sparky tells you that, the suggested thing is I went to the mountains for a holiday. You can change that and you can say I went to the market for shopping, right? But basically you are taking the base of that structure of the sentence and changing the verb or the subject, or like my mother went to the market. You don't have to say I went, right? But it gives you a hint of how the structure of sentence has to be, and then you can use it in multiple ways. And what I would recommend people do is also use these things that you learn with Sparky, use it in your other conversations. Try to think about your daily things that you're doing, or talking to someone. Try to think of how you will say this in English. So that becomes your additional practice beyond Sparky.
Yeah, sometimes what happens when we're talking to a beginner or a learner, sometimes they are also speaking wrong English, and we pick up those words. Because what am I doing is I'm learning English from 2 years, but still I can say that I'm making basic grammatical errors, which we have recently discussed. So
Yeah.
even though I'm working like on those mistakes from a long period of time, I'm not able to get rid of them. Sometimes I say them.
That's
So it's only
okay.
because I feel that when you're talking to a beginner, because he's also making same kind of mistakes, and we are also listening it. So we always
Yeah.
pick up anything we
Yes.
listen to. So
Yeah.
if it would be better if we are listening to a person who is speaking correct without any error, so that we are habitual of listening correct English, and then also we can improve.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
also important.
Yeah, yeah. I think the last one more thing that Sparky does is there are different types of interactive games that are built to practice specific things. So you can do that and you can practice specific types of mistakes or specific types of grammar things even in the games. So that is another way to practice if you don't feel like having conversations, and these are different formats that you can use.
Okay, actually, the last video which we did like last 2 months ago, somebody comment me that, ma'am, I'm using this Sparky and I can see the improvements. So I just pinned
Okay.
that comment on my chat that people should know. People actually lack of awareness. That is also one of the major reason people are not improving. They are just looking forward to the different things. They are not sticking together. They're not
Yeah,
sticking to one particular thing. So if
right.
you have to prepare a roadmap first. You have to decide like what you have to do, then only you have to follow that for at
Yeah,
least
and
for
learning is,
not for a short period of time.
learning anything is like that, right? If you set out to do something, like today you're learning badminton, tomorrow you're learning swimming, then day
Yes,
after you're learning cooking, nothing will happen.
nothing will
But you
happen.
need to sort of dedicate some amount of time. And as you start seeing progress, people get very motivated by the progress itself. So,
100%. That's true. Motivation. We feel motivated when we see that yes, we are learning. I know
yeah,
this thing. Earlier I did not know that, but now I know that. So we
yeah,
always feel encouraged. So
yeah,
that's a
yeah.
best practice, I think. And
Yeah.
practice makes man perfect.
Yeah, and it's okay even if you're like I don't like this because it says perfect, right? It doesn't have to be perfect, but practice makes
Perfect.
you better and
Better
closer
and
to
better.
perfect. Over time, you'll get perfect, but you get continuously better and closer to perfection.
And Sparky is something that can help you to reach to your goal. So,
Yeah.
some people, they are facing like very problems like for interviews. They don't know how to tackle it. They can
Hmm.
practice one interview session with the Sparky and it can help them.
Yeah,
It can
yeah,
help them to improve their confidence because once you revise something, you perform better. That's a very
yeah,
natural human tendency. If
yeah.
if I am going to discuss something with you and I have a good knowledge about that particular thing, previously I have read that, so
Hmm.
I am going to perform well. That's for sure. So
Yeah. And
this is
Sparky
how.
also gives you suggested better ways of saying something. So if you just write something and you keep practicing it, then there's no one to tell you how to do it better. But if you say it to Sparky, one, it is giving you feedback. Secondly, you are saying it in the flow of a conversation, right? So you have to think on your feet. You have to, sometimes that's what happens. People learn up things before an interview. Then they go to the interview and some different question is asked first. Then that somehow just like lose their, nerves and they get very nervous. And so I think it also it also helps you practice how to think in real time, how to react in a conversation. Every time the person is not going to ask exactly the same thing that you practiced. Something else will be asked sometimes.
That's true. That's
Yeah,
true. Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And so thank you so much, ma'am.
yeah.
And so thank you so much, ma'am, for coming here and telling us about the Sparky. And thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, my pleasure, Karishma. Lovely talking to you.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Okay, bye.